Hello, everybody. My name is Ed. I'm in my armchair, and the smoking lamp is lit. And guess what I'm smoking today? Look at this guy. Last week I told you I was expecting this. It's an OMS Dublin shape, all the way from England. Tim the Hermit Piper. All the way England just to be part of my little family. And I love it. It's my favorite. Also because, remember, all pipes deserve to be your favorite at some time. All of them. Anywho, this is really nice. As I said, now I have 4 OMS, and they all have the same level of just quality, smokability, and I just like it. Like the rustification of this. I have a meerschaum poker, briar poker, and my only double lance. So I like it. And I'm smoking Philosopher because I just got this pipe. And just to let you know, all pipes, I treat kind of like I'm breaking them in no matter what. If it's a estate pipe, I clean it up and everything. But if it's a estate, a brand new with a coating on it, whatever, I just treat them all as though they just need to be broken in. And I always use Philosopher to break in a pipe. That's my favorite tobacco. But just to let them all get in here, kind of find out how they work, how they, smoke. And that's what I do. So anyway, let's get on to the next part. So last week, I gave you the conditions for my giveaway. 4 different pipes, 4 different contests. Check it out. Do a VR with a pipe story. Anybody that ever gave, in the last 2 years, been given a gall themselves, or contributed in any kind of charity or give the auction, or anybody can just go, I'm in. Enough said about that. But what I said last week is I'm going to tell my favorite, or actually both my favorite and my funniest pipe video. My VRs, I'm asking you to do a pipe story. This will be a pipe story. So I got to set this up a little bit for you. Hold on. This story has to do with this pipe. A gourd calabash. Isn't it a beauty? I've had this over 40 years now. And this is approximately when this happened. I got this as a gift from my brother. And at the time, mostly I had just a lot of bent pipes. Basic, traditional sizes. This, when he got it for me, was now the new pride and joy. So I probably at that point had only smoked it a couple times. And I had it upstairs next to my armchair. Not this one, but an armchair. I put the tobaccos and a few other pipes right on a bookshelf right next to me. Well, obviously at that time it was the most expensive pipe I had. and very special. I also had a roommate who smoked a pipe, good friend of mine, and he and I, one of the things we discussed at a different time along is that, if anybody were to smoke marijuana or anything of that nature, we knew that it would be, at that time we thought it would destroy the pipe. We didn't really know the term ghosting, and we didn't certainly know how to get it out. So we just knew that would ruin the pipe. So I used to have, this is when I lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, had a nice house, had a big basement, and it was a party room. And I used to throw big parties. I'm talking 3 keg, maybe as much as 120 people coming in at various times throughout the night. Had a dance floor, music choreographed or set up through a disc jockey at one of the nightclubs in town. Really great parties. And what would happen is people would be downstairs at the party, but a lot of people would kind of be upstairs or maybe outside. I had a big covered porch, depending on the weather. So it's not unusual to have people kind of all over the house. So here's the story. This actually was my roommate that told me about this. He was in the kitchen and he heard some people in the living room, and here's what I'm hearing. Oh, this is good shit. This is great. Have some. Well, you know what that means. They're smoking dope. Anyway, he went in from the kitchen to the living room, and what he saw, 2 young kids, and they had this pipe. And this is what was filled, and they were passing it around. This is great. Anyway, he went ballistic. How dare you put dope on this pipe? It'll ruin it. And these guys, of course, were really taken aback, but they go, "We were smoking his stuff. It's right here." Had a little baggie of my tobacco. So they were taking this pipe, filling it with my tobacco, but toking it, not only inhaling it, but really inhaling it like you do with dope, and thinking it was the greatest stuff. It was just the context, big party. I guess guy must be cool, so he must have some great dope. And also, I'm sure they were very oxygen deprived in their brains because they really did think that they were getting high. I still love this story. So that is my pipe story. Now, what we're going to do is a few VRs. We've got a few people doing gauze. New people, kinda. Big Smoke, 150 sub gall fill. Check them out. Captain Kirk, 32. 400 sub. Craig, Hiking Pipe, 250. Seems like I just did one for him. You know what I mean? These guys are amazing. And Eddie, Texas Piper. And he's doing it just for the heck of it. I like that. You don't necessarily have to have a reason. Just do it. So I'm going to kind of go through all of these, maybe all at the same time. We'll start with hiking pipes. She's asking, have you ever been really scared? Tell us about it. And also, what in your pipe journey have you learned, if anything? So first, I'm scared every day, mainly because I have the philosophy of treating each day as it could be your last. So that means a lot of crying and whispering, and just, I don't know, it's really bad. Okay. Gonna get you back to when I was in the Navy. About 50 years ago at this time. My ship, which is a destroyer, so it's not like the big cruisers or the aircraft carriers, 140 or 440 foot, something like that. We were in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Just getting out of port. And outside, there was an incredible typhoon, which is a hurricane for the Pacific. And it was bad. The harbor was okay. We got through some breakwaters, and we could just see these waves smashing against them. So, of course, I decided to take pictures. So what we had, I was a signalman, so I'm on the top of the ship, and then right by there was our first main stack, and we had one side of it off to the right that wrapped around to the back of the stack, and then we had a stairway going down, kind of steep stairway, and then rails, of course, outside and stuff. That vantage point got me to where I could see either side without going back and forth. I can just turn around to take the pictures. And I really wanted to get them, especially when these waves were just hitting those rocks. Incredible. Now, the problem with going out like this, when you have big waves, and I've been in fairly big waves, you ride them by going right into them. And then you'll the ship will then be going up and down. What you do not want is to be broadsided with the waves hitting you. But coming out of the harbor, we didn't have a choice. We had to get out, and so the waves were bouncing us sideways, back and forth. So there I am, kind of on the top of these stairs with the rails, and we got hit with a big wave, because also the waves were a little bit bigger because they're coming under the shore. This wasn't this was before they broke. And this ship just went sideways. And I'm grabbing onto this rail, and I am looking at pure water. I have good peripheral vision. All I'm seeing is water. Coming right at me. And this was the ocean. This isn't the wave. This is looking at the water. I thought for sure we were going to get capsized. I was looking right at it. Cannot believe it. Scared the daylight out of me for just a second. They really were there. Luckily for me, it was on the port side, or the left side, where the rail was. So I was standing against the rail. I grabbed onto it. The ship just started going sideways. I was just scared to death because I really did think the ship was toppling over. But I really thought, if that ship that had done the same thing on the right side, where now I have stairs, I didn't have a rail there. I had the rail going down. I wouldn't have had it to grab onto it, maybe off to the side, maybe. But odds are, if it was gone the other way, I would have gone off. So even if it didn't tip over, I was out to sea. And with that kind of waves, who knows if anybody would have known that I was out, because nobody was outside other than signalmen and stupid people with cameras. Incredible. We actually had a 54-degree roll. Let me explain that to you. This is straight up, 0. 45 degrees is here. We did 54. And then the ocean, the waves were hitting us like this. And then it just went, that's when we got back up. So luckily we're kind of still going from the waves, but right there, and I'm looking down at pure water. I'm caught up. So it's registered a 54-degree roll. And just in case I didn't remember that part of it right, I'm on Facebook with a couple of guys that were on my ship at that time. And one of them was up on our signal bridge. He got completely blown off the rail that he was on and got hit. Basically, the ship just went and pushed him right into another rail across the deck. And he was talking about it, and he mentioned the 54-degree roll. So that is the truth on that. Incredible. Yes, I was scared really bad. The next question is, what have you learned in your pipe journey? I learned one thing. Don't try to take a pipe out when you're on a ship out at sea in a typhoon. Big smoke, Phil. He's asking, kind of, how did you get involved in smoking pipes? What was your first pipe? What was your first blend? And do you still smoke your first pipe? 4 questions. And I've told this before, but I'll tell it again. I got started in the Navy, but I had, in signalman school out of boot camp, I had 2 guys that both smoked pipes. And so I got one because it just made sense to me. I'm in the Navy. I'm a sailor. Sailors smoke pipes. But the background also is the fact that I grew up with pipe smoking, or cigars, at that time mainly cigars, for my dad. He always smoked a cigar in the living room, when I was just kid playing. And my grandfather, actually both grandfathers, although one grandfather I didn't really know that much. I have 2 of his pipes though. Both smoked pipes. So it was no big thing to pick up smoking a pipe. And being the sailor, great. And here, what was my first pipe? And here it is. An Admiral by Lorenzo. Meerschaum lined. that was my first pipe. And it was my only pipe for a little while until I went to Hong Kong and started picking up some. My first blend, I had a few blends that I tried, but the main one, first one, and the one that I stuck with for the most part all the way through the Navy and probably a couple years in the college, Borkum Riff, based on the name. And it had whiskey, Borkum Riff whiskey, and that just sounded good. So I really have no idea. Pretty much anything I would have smoked, I would have just loved it. I do remember having Middleton's Cherry Blend. I had that, but the Borkum Riff throughout the whole thing. And the final question, do you still smoke your first pipe? Yes, I do. I will pop this out. Not often, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, a couple of special occasions. But yes, it's still a great little smoker for me. I enjoy it. Captain Kirk, 32. He's asking 4 questions. Kind of like favorite book, favorite movie, TV show, band. So let me answer that. First one is movie. Do movie first. I love movies. And pretty much when I'm watching a movie, and it's usually in the evening, so I get to a movie and have all kinds of movie channels. And I'll be smoking my pipe. My notes fell. Love movies. But how do you choose just one? So my criteria kind of became, obviously a great movie, but one that I just sometimes want to watch. And it's longevity of that too. And that would be The Godfather. It's like I can always watch The Godfather. And a lot of times, especially if I just bored with all the possibilities of a movie, I will put it on. Added to that is a while back, they came up with The Godfather Epic, which I have on DVD. And what it is one thing that had already been done before. They combined Godfather 1 with The Godfather 2 and set it up chronologically. So I like that. But this epic also has a bunch of deleted scenes throughout it. And so now, when I do have a craving for The Godfather, I will have that on. That's close to 7-8 hours of The Godfather. I love it. Okay. Next. Next. Book. Same kind of criteria. What book do I kind of love to go back to? I mean, I don't read that much anymore, but the last book that I just was riveted, had to listen, read and read, and I couldn't put it down, the Da Vinci Code. But that's not one I've only read it once. But yeah, what I kind of came to is something I started reading in high school, and I still will read them all. And yes, that's Sherlock Holmes. So it's not one book. Obviously, it's quite a series. But that is something I'll just have the whim and just start reading them again. So I have to classify that as the book. TV, guess what this is going to be? Because I've been watching TV forever. A lot of series. I probably saw MASH more than any other TV thing. But what do I want to go back to? That is the Sherlock Holmes that started out in PBS at Mystery. Great series. Jeremy Brett, I think, is the best Sherlock Holmes. They really get me in the feel of London and those times. So that I will watch. And of course, I have them all on DVD. And I just watched them probably only about 5 months ago. Just binge through them all again. So that would be my movie. Band? Okay, this is hands down one of two things. If it is a band, we're talking about the Beatles. For me, the Beatles. I still love listening to their stuff. But what have I watched or listened to the most, especially when I'm relaxing, which is kind of what he's asking, is the Celtic Women. 3 or 4 female singers going on for maybe 20 years now. I have all of their CDs. I've watched all of their shows, but it has been different people performing in it. You know, they're stable for the first few. Every year I have to listen to their Christmas one. I just have that. So that's what I listen to the most. Their music is just nice, soft. That's what I put on when I get up in the morning and have on when I'm doing my routine and just hanging out before I start doing anything in the morning. So finally, Texas Piper, Eddie, golf for no reason at all, just 'cause. It basically asks about a memorable blend, a memorable one. And that one I definitely have to go to, back to I already talked about, the Borkum Riff, because that's what I was smoking at first. And pretty well didn't, because again, also that the tobacco isn't that important to me. It's the pipe. I like pipes. So I had Borkum Riff. I was okay with it. Yeah, I would try other kind. But this is when I started. This was when I was in the Navy. This would be the most memorable blend for me. So anyhow, I appreciate you sticking around for all of this. If you did stick around for all of this, hopefully you did. Remember, I'm having a gall going on. Ends March 30th, with the 31st being my 2nd anniversary. So let's get yourself involved in that. Lots of space for the contest. 4 pipes, 4 winners. So with that, hope you like, subscribe, and if you don't like, remember, you're not going to get to heaven. So may your smoking lamp always be lit. And take care out there.